Again, we've done the majority of our foldable, and we've practiced that for the last couple days. So we went over some vocabulary about what it means to be a function, domain and range. We just talked about that before. Mini quiz. Did we already do that? Yes, we already did this part. I'm just recapping. Okay. So we talked about domain of the x values, range of the y values, and remember a function. If we have repeated x's and they go to different y's, then it's not a function. And we also talked about a function in terms of a graph. So again, with our numbers, and this is again what we just reviewed before our quiz, but when we have numbers, so whether it's in our list or if it's in our table, we look to see if x has repeated. If x repeats and goes to different y values, like we see here, then it's not a function. Otherwise, we're okay. And then we talked about a mapping diagram. And here we're looking to see if there's arrows going from the same x to different y's. That's the same thing as it being repeated, so it would be not a function like number 9 there. And then we talked about graphs, and this is, scatter plots. Same thing. So your x's repeat and go different y's like we had here. Not a function. And then we talked about graphs, and so we did some extra practice with the 4 mini quiz. We do that vertical line test. We draw that vertical line, and if it hits it in more than one spot, then it's not a function. So with our graphs, domain range is a little bit harder. That's when we have inequalities or the all real numbers. And so these arrows on the end mean it's going up forever, and to the right forever, down forever, to the right forever. So since it's going down forever and up forever, that's why we have y is all real numbers. Our x's go to the right forever, but it doesn't go to the left forever. So we see it started here at -1, and then it was everything to the right. So x was greater than or equal to -1. Everything to the right, arrow pointing to the right. So this is what we did a couple classes ago, and last class we just did more practice with it. And so today, what we're going to be taking a look at is that last flap on our foldable, and that is function notation. Okay, so you're on that last flap, and at the bottom it should say function notation. So this is what we're doing today. And function notation is something that you'll be using for the rest of this year, and then pretty much you'll see that for the rest of your high school math classes. Did everyone locate their foldable, or at least have a piece of paper to write it down? My absent people from 2 days ago, did you get one? So again, if you were here but you just don't have your foldable with you, you can just write this information down on just, and then once you get home and get to your foldable, you can put it in. Okay. I'm going to orient this one more time. So function notation. So far, we've always written our graphs as y equals y equals y equals. Function notation is a little different. So function notation is, like you see here, f parentheses x parentheses. What that means is f of x. F of x, g of x. So it's just another way to represent our graph instead of just using y all the time. So once we know a relation is a function, we need a way to let other people know that too. So we use function notation to do that. Function notation. So what this communicates is, hey, this is a function. This is a function. This is a function. So this looks differently for our equations. Our old look was that for equations we would have something like y equals 2x plus 1. That's what we used to have. But now with our function notation, we're going to see something like this. F of x equals 2x plus 1. So all that means is that this is a function of x. X is my independent variable, just like it was here. X still goes on your x-axis. But now instead of y, we call it f of x, but it still means my y value. So I'm still going to be, this is the same thing, f of x. My y values are still going to be our f of x values. Now before our ordered pairs, we would write it out like this. Let's just say, for example, a -3, 5. That would be our x and our y value. Riley, are you with us, my dear? Perfect. Now, instead of writing it as an ordered pair, we're going to write it using our function notation. So notice how it says f of x. So what we have then is f of, what is my x value here? -3. Good. This is my x. This is my x. This is my y. So my x value is -3. So I'm saying f of -3 equals 5. So I'm just simply putting in my x value for x and saying, oh, when I put that in, if I take -3 and put it in, 2 times -3 plus 1 gives me 5. And before we would evaluate, I would say evaluate y equals 2x plus 1. For x equal to -3, right? They'd have to write out a sentence like that. Evaluate y equals 2x plus 1 for x equal to -3. But now it's going to say find f of -3 when f of x equals 2x plus 1. So it's saying the same thing. It's just over here it tells you your equation. It says x equals -3. Over here they tell you your equation, and since it's f of x, x is -3. So it's just a different way to represent it. So this is what we're going to be working with today. Now, if we have more than one function, we don't always use f of x. I'm not even sure why they started off with the letter F and not the letter A. Probably F for function. So we don't always use f of x. We can actually use really any letter of the alphabet, but the more common ones. So f of x is the most common. But then typically we just go down the alphabet. What comes after f?
Y.
In the alphabet. G.
Oh,
Sorry, like just in the alphabet. You're correct, f of x equals y. So next is G, what comes next after that? H. X. So they all mean the same thing. It means y equals y equals y equals. But what this tells us is we have different functions here. So here we're just going to do some practice with it in our function notation. So nothing crazy, nothing new. We've evaluated before. We're going to do the same thing now, which is now it's in the function notation. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at our problems here. It says, given the domain of 0, 1, 2, 3, make a table for the function. What is domain? Is that x or y? X. So these are just my x values. So I'm going to go put my x values in here. And at this point, I realized I forgot to give you calculators. We'll pause and get calculators.
Can you calculate for this?
It depends on how well you can do your arithmetic.
No.
I'm gonna see the
Sorry to have to pause for calculators. So we should have our calculator. So what we're doing here is we're just finding what our y values are. So I'm taking 0 and I'm putting it in for x. So I'm going to be doing 2 times 0 plus 4. What do we get for that? 4. So that is my y value. So just like we did before. So then I have putting in 1. I'm putting it in for x here. So I have 2 times 1 plus 4. What do we get for that? 6. And we'll just continue down, put in 2 2 times 2 plus 4, we get 8. And then we're taking 3, putting it in, so 2 times 3 plus 4, we get 10. Okay. So, same thing as we did before, just all we're doing is taking these numbers, putting them in.
Keep the measure aside. Have the line, like segment AB. If you have a line above it, if it's.
If we're talking about measure, no.
So it's AB equals 5.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay. So for number 2, same idea. Our domain, they told us the domain's the same for all of these. 0. Whoa. It's supposed to be 0. You guys see this? Okay.
I guess making the table is not that hard, but
The table shouldn't be too hard. It's the same thing that we did before. We're just taking these numbers and putting it in for x. Ooh, you guys can do this one without a calculator. What's 5 minus 0? What's 5 minus 1? 4. 5 minus 2? 5 minus 3?
wait. So if it leaves x by itself, you're gonna use the x values where you're gonna subtract from.
Yeah, so like, I'm just simply putting, like, you can rewrite it. This would be 5 minus x, which is 0.
Why didn't you multiply this term?
Why didn't I multiply? Because it doesn't say multiply, it says 5 minus x. Over here it says 2 times x plus 4. So we have a different equation, a different function. Why didn't you write anything down? You have a piece of paper. Take a pencil. Write it down. You don't have your paper with you? Did you bring your backpack? What's in the backpack? Hopefully something. Just not mine. And the cart over there, the top drawer has paper. Yeah. Okay, so for number 3, same idea. We have 0, 1, 2, 3. They gave us that. That's how I know that. Okay, I only know this because they told me that. And then I'm just putting it in. So I'm putting in 0 for x. 3 times 0 minus 1 gives us negative 1. And then same idea. Put in 1. 3 times 1 minus 1 is me. Good. And then we just keep going. 3 times 2 minus 1 gives me. 3 times 3 minus 1 gives me 8. So same thing as before. Wait. So that's the easier part. Now for this part,
It even gets harder.
I mean, it's not bad. We're just going to be solving. But for this part here, it says, given the range, find the domain. Okay. What is range? X or Y? Y. So these are my Y values. All right. So I have my Y values are 0, 5, 10. Okay. So we have to find the domain. Now this requires a little bit of work. Remember, h of x just simply means y. So we have y equals 5x. So for my first one here, if y is 0, I simply put in 0 for y. Okay, so my equation is y equals 5x, right? So I'm just taking these and putting them in for y. Okay, so I'm going to put 0 in for y. And 0 equals 5x. How do I solve for x? What do I do? Divide by 5. And 0 divided by 5 is 0. So we have x equals 0. So we're just solving an equation each time. I'm going to write off to the side. You can use either the space over here. I'm going to just write mine off to the side. So let's now do it with 5. So again, I have y equals 5x. Y is 5. So 5 equals 5x. So instead of y, I have 5. They told us it's 5. All we're doing is putting this in for y, and then solving for x. We're just solving equations.
So the Y.
They told me y is 5, so I put it in for y.
So every value on the y you put. Would you do like 0 equals?
0 equals 5x, that's what we did first. Right, so we did that first. Now that we've done this one, now we're going to do the next one. And the next one is 5. Y equals 5x. 5 is y equals 5x. All I'm doing is replacing y with 5. And then now we solve.
1.
Good. So we divide both sides by 5. 5 over 5 is 1. So I get x equals 1.
Oh.
That's all we're doing. We're just taking the y value, putting it in, and then solving. Before we took the x value, put it in, and solved. Right? Okay. So we've done that one. Now we have 10. So y equals 5x. So I'm just taking 10, putting it in for y. 10 equals 5x. And then all I have to do is divide by 5. X equals 2.
So they're always going to give us the what to divide by.
Yeah, they gave us the equation. And so all I'm doing is putting my numbers into my equation and just
So you would always divide by 5.
for this one.
For the obviously for that one.
Wait, yeah, really always giving people what to find in information?
Yeah, so they give us the equation, and they have to either give us our x or the y. We have to have one or the other, because if I don't know both of them, then I don't have any information to find the other one. So they have to either give me x or give me y. Alright, so let's go ahead and do number 5. Here they went ahead and left it as y equals. If it wasn't already like that, we could just write it as y equals. And our range is still 0, 5, and 10. 0, 5, and 10. Okay? So again, all I'm doing is taking this and putting it in for my y value. So let's do this first one here. Instead of y, I have 0. 2x plus 1. And then now we're just solving. What do I have to do first? Subtract 1, good.
Oh, are we still using the same values?
Yeah, because it said to use the same range for both of these. I have negative 1 equals 2x. Divide by 2, good. So x is just negative 1/2. What is that as a decimal? We'll go and use a decimal. 0.5. Yeah, so this is just negative 0.5.
So you replace the y for 0,
Because they told us y is 0.
and you subtract 1, then you subtract 1 from 0, which gave you negative 1, then you divide by 2.
Yeah, because all we're doing at this point is just an equation.
Oh, so we're like solving the equation you used to do that.
You're just solving an equation over and over again. It's just what we did back in, what was that, Unit 2? Multiple times. Okay. So now let's go ahead and do it with 5. So y equals 5. So instead of y, I'm going to put in 5. And then now we just have an equation. This is like what we used to have last unit. I'd give you an equation, you'd solve for x. Go and solve. Subtract 1 from both sides. 4 equals 2x. Divide by 2. On both sides.
Give you 2.
2 equals x. So these numbers are paired up together. When y is 5, for this problem, x is 2. Alright, and then we'll do it one more time with 10. Alright, take 10, put it in for y. 10 equals 2x plus 1. And once again, we're just solving. Subtract 1 from both sides. Y equals 2x. Solve for x, divide by 2. I heard someone say it over here when we get for x. Good, 4.9. So filling out the table, they either give us our range, the y's, or the domain, which is the x's, and then you just plug in whatever it is. Here, y is 0, I put it in for y. So, okay, questions on 4 or 5? So let's go take a look at 6 and 7. So these are similar. It says find f of 3 when f of x equals 9x plus 2. Okay. So it says find f of 3. Notice inside is x, inside is 3. So what this means is x equals 3. That's all that they're telling us there. We're just going to take 3 and put it in for x. So wherever we see x, we're going to put it in. Okay, so I'm going to write it right here. F of 3 equals 9 times 3 plus 2. Alright, so go ahead and use your calculator to help you simplify that. What do we get for our answer? I heard 29, I heard 29 again. Anyone else want to confirm it's 29? 29? Perfect. Good. So f of 3 is 29. And that's it. Yeah.
What?
It says find f of 3 when f of x equals 9x plus 2. So 3 goes in for x. So f of 3, 9x plus 2, 9 times 3 plus 2. So 9 times 3 is 27, and then plus 2.
Oh, plus.
Plus 2, because that's what they told us.
Oh, I see.
F of 3. So it said to find f of 3. So that's exactly what we found. It said f of 3 equals 29. We're done. All this is saying is my y value is 29 when x equals 3. Okay. Number 7, find f of negative 2 when f of x equals negative x equals 3. So again, x is negative 2. So f of negative 2 equals negative 7 times negative 2 plus 3. So again, I'm just replacing it for my x. So go ahead and use your calculator to help out with this. Okay, you guys are fast. So f of negative 2 equals 17. So this is what else represents f of x? Which one? X or y? Y. So this is really just saying y equals 17. When x is negative 2, y equals 17. That's what it's saying. Same thing as saying negative 2, 17. That's what this represents. Okay, so they gave us equations there, but here they've given us a graph. I personally like it when they tell us on the graph. So for 8 it says find f of negative 1. So this is my x value. Right? Remember it's f of x. So they said f of negative 1. I'm just looking at where x equals negative 1. Okay, so let's go on our graph. X is negative 1. Let's look for our dot. Here's our dot. Well, that's not our dot. Let me try again. Let me guess. There's our dot. Remember, f of x just means y. What's my y value for that third dot? 0. And same idea here. It says find f of 2. So f of 2.
So it's got a positive 2.
Good. So this is saying my x value equals 2. So I'm going to go to 2 and look for my dot. Here's my dot. And what's the y value, Eric?
3.
So it's just saying find your y value when x is 2. Okay. I'm going to have you write in 2 more problems we're going to do here. Because here, they told you your x.
Don't tell us they're going to make us find x.
What if they make you find x? So let's just go and write this in. Find x when f of x equals, and let me double check real quick, -2. Okay, so go ahead and write that in. Find x when f of x equals -2. What does f of x mean again? What does f of x represent? Y. So this is just simply saying, all right,
Y times X equals -2.
no, it's just saying y equals -2. This whole thing just means y.
Oh,
Okay? So we need to look on our graph. Y is up and down. Y, look for where y is -2. So we're going, oh, okay, right there. Right, maybe that's -2. I'm trying to, and where's my dot? Here's my dot. What is the x value for that dot?
negative. No, 0.
X value, x value.
Oh.
4. 1,
Wait,
2,
why would
3,
it be 4?
So remember, x goes left, right? So this point here is 1, 2, 3, 4. X equals 4, y equals -2. Do you have a question? I can swim to it. So for that one, y equals -2, we said the x value is 4.
Wait, why did you move over first?
So I'm looking at my black dot here. I just need to know what the x value is for. So if you were to write out the coordinates for that black dot, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, it was already on the graph. Oh, I didn't notice that.
Sorry, already there. Okay, let's do one more like that, and then we'll do our activity. So they sometimes ask you to find x, so find x when f of x equals, I'm going to have us do 3. So find x when f of x equals 3. What does f of x mean? Y. So find x when y equals 3. Okay, so we look on our graph. Look on our graph here. And y equals 3. 1, 2, 3. Look, and here's my dot for that. So if I can guess it on my smartboard. That red dot there. All right, let's go ahead and just to make it a little easier for ourselves, let's write out the ordered pair for that. The ordered pair, the parentheses. What is my ordered pair? I have x is 2. Oh, this is really bad.
What number did you pick? Or what number is it? Totally.
It's the dot right.
Up there?
I'm trying to get it, but my smartboard keeps messing up. That red dot.
X is 2 and 3.
Good. So we have the point 2, 3. Okay. So it says find x when f of x equals 3, when y equals 3. So here's my y value is 3. What's my x value?
2.
2.
So sometimes they'll ask us to write out the order pair.
You don't. They might. If they don't ask you to, you don't have to, but it might make it a little easier for you to see that x is 2. Otherwise, you can just look at it and count. Oh, that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so keep in mind, f of x means y. So when it says when f of x equals -2, that means y equals -2. Just look on your graph for where y is -2. When it says, like for a and b, it said find f of -1. F of x, so x, it said is -1, so I look toward x and -1, and I want to get the y value for it. Okay, so what we're going to do next is going to be some practice with this and those wonderful blue cards that you guys cut out earlier. We're going to use that. So let me go and show you up front what we're going to do with it. I'm going to put you in partners for this. So these blue cards, what we have, let me pull it up here so you can see. You're basically going to be matching these cards up. Wait until I finish explaining this, then you can go. Okay. So
So you're going to be given a stack of cards, you and your partner, and you're going to find out which of these match together. So here they gave us a function. This is find f of -1.
So remember what we do for this. Orient again real quick. So it says find f of -1. Let me see if I can Okay, find f of -1. Remember, y equals f of x. Okay. So if -1 represents x, then all we're doing is saying x equals -1, right? So it says find f of -1, so wherever I see x, I should be putting -1. It says f of x, f of -1, so I'm just replacing these guys. Okay? So what we're going to be doing for this one is I have f of -1 equals, and instead of x, I have -1 squared minus 8. Instead of x, I have -1 minus 12. So then you're going to simplify whatever the number that is, and that ends up being 1 plus 8, which is 9 minus 12, so that equals -2. Okay. So we have f of 1 equals -3. So you're going to try and match these up with the different cards. Which cards go together? Okay, so let's see. So that's an example of that kind, where they give us, try to solve. We go scroll down to another one. Okay. So here's an example for K, where it says, if f of x equals -61, find x. So they're asking us to find x. They didn't tell us x this time. They instead told us f of x. Remember, f of x just simply means y. So I'm going to replace, again, you can rewrite this as y equals -3x minus 7. This is just simply saying y equals -61. So all we're doing is we're taking this, putting it in right there, and we're going to solve. Let me see if I can move this off the side here. There's some space right here. So I have -61. Let me try writing it down here. -61 equals -3x minus 7. And then we solve for x. I'm going to add 7 to both sides. So I get -54 equals -3x divided by -3. And I get x equals, I think that's 18. And then last kind that they give us, so this is again, they gave us my y, I'm putting it for y. Or you can just think of it this way. If f of x equals -61, look where f of x is. I'm just simply taking this whole thing, they told us it's 61, so I'm going to replace that, -61. So -61 equals that, and then I solve. And the last kind that they give us is where we're given a graph. So it says find f of -4. So again, that means my x value is -4. So I'm going to go to -4 my x. 1, 2, 4. And my y value there, what's the point? -4, -3. So my y value is -3. So what you're doing is you're matching up your answers together. Notice this one, my answer was -3. And that first one that we did, -3. First one is also -3. So you'll match those up. So you'll have 3 cards in a pile. 3 of them will have the same answer. That's what you're going to be matching up with your circle. So you have your calculator help you out with simplifying some of this stuff. Just a real quick reminder, who remembers where the absolute value bars are in your calculator? It's been a while since we've used those. Who remembers where the absolute value bars are? Math, and then what do we do? Go to the right. Good. So let me go and pull it up here on your calculator. Absolute value bars. Math. Go to the right.
because they're absent minders.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and have you pair up. I'm not going to have you work with your show partner. I'm going to mix you guys up. And we'll start off with this and continue with it in Stinger. And then during Stinger, after a little bit, we'll switch over to Math Space. So go ahead and listen for your shoulder partner. Gather your stuff together. You can just do the work for this on a separate sheet of paper. There's nothing you have to fill out. You're just going to match them up together. All right, so go ahead and gather your stuff together. I'm going to move you with... So just a couple clarifying things. I would recommend you start off by looking at cards A, B, C, D, E, F, H, I. Find those answers. So that way, once you do another card, let's say you pull up card R, and you get the answer is -3, then you know to put R here. So you're going to find the answer for each of these, write that down, and then any cards that have that same answer, that's what you're writing here. So you're going to have 3 cards in each one. Yes. So you're going to be finding the answers. I would say start off with those letters, and then find your answer so you know what to put where. And work with your partners. You've got your group of 3. No one should be on their phones. We should all be working with our earbuds out of our ears so we can hear our partners talking to us. And matching these up. So you'll have 3 cards with the same answer. Okay, I saw Tu's passing out your homework. It's worksheet 11. What does it say? 11? Worksheet 11. So she's passing it out to you. And then looks like most of us are getting there. Again, go to Blackboard.